Welcome to Discovering. I have a couple of different stories to share with you tonight. First off, a successful morning of duck hunting on the marsh.
That last flock was like awesome. I hope you got it on film. 4 ducks came in.
And then I talked to event organizers of Belgiumtown Big Buck Night to see how the event started and how it's grown.
Last year, we estimate we had probably 1,000 people.
So sit back and relax. It's Monday night and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Who in their right mind would take the canoe out and paddle at 6 a.m. under the stars in mid-October in the Upper Peninsula? A duck hunter. That's who. I met up with Terry Huffman and his dog Ranger for a morning of duck hunting on the marsh.
At 7:01, we have a half hour. Yes, to let things calm down on the marsh. What's a mallard call? It's kind of just a resting call. You hear a lot of hidden mallards make that call just when they're thinking about maybe going out and looking for breakfast, trying to find somebody else to join them. That's a feeding chuckle. Both the male and the female do that. That's a greening call that the other mallard's making.
As we sat and waited for daylight, we could hear mallards, wood ducks, and geese across the marsh.
Wood ducks, there's one here and one over there and one behind us. They're talking. Buddies. That's a good sign.
That woody call?
Mm-hmm. There's one right here. Dipping, and he could come around. Stay, stay, stay. Now they're going to be getting up. There's 2 mallards right here, our decoys. They're smart, they swim in. We're in Marquette County. We're just in a a flooding area that I have permission to hunt, and there's thousands of places in the UP just like this. And so all you need is wetlands, and it's good to if you know that there's some birds using the area, it's kind of reassuring. But I've gone into areas a lot of times where it just looks ducky, and we set up and sure enough shoot ducks. I think you were moving the boat every time we was shooting in the beginning. The canoe, it's real easy to rock a canoe, but I noticed things like that.
He was just teasing, I think, but I probably was rocking the boat.
Sometimes he looks at me when I miss, and it's like, oh, you disappoint me so, Father.
As the sun rose, the ducks gave us a chance to redeem ourselves.
I prefer to shoot him out here. It's a lot easier for him. But he has no quit. He saw the bird go down. I did very little training with him. I had another dog, Scout, and I got Ranger when Scout was about 6 or 7. And I mean, I taught him the basics like sit, stay, come, and that sort of thing, and how to be a good dog, around other people. But as far as the hunting stuff, the retrieving is natural. Yeah, it's a hen. Oh well. We got duck meat. This is an AYA, made in Spain. And it's kind of amazing, like a side-by-side shotgun. It's all handmade. And I ordered the shotgun, and I ordered everything about it. They made my specifications. I wanted a certain barrel length. I wanted certain chokes. The stock has been made to my dimensions. I've got a couple of different pads on it depending on the season that I'm hunting. In the summertime it's a little bit longer and a little bit shorter for when I have a coat on like today. I like a double trigger. A lot of people say I don't want to shoot a double trigger gun. I never have, but once they do it, I mean, most people don't ever want to go back and shoot single triggers again. The cool thing about a double trigger shotgun, or rifle for that matter, is you're in essence have two guns, because one trigger has a complete assembly for one of the barrels, and the other trigger has a complete assembly for the other barrel. So if something goes wrong, like you break a firing pin or you break a spring in the trigger system, you still have a gun, and you can still hunt and still shoot. So a lot of practicality to a double trigger gun, but there's a lot of coolness to a side-by-side too. The gun was perfected in the 1800s, and we've done some things like added choke tubes and whatnot, but basically the gun is the same gun as it was then. It hasn't really gotten any different, any better, and there's no way to really make it better. Other than maybe modern materials or things like choke tubes, which are very practical, but it's a sweet gun. I mean, this is kind of like the epicenter of life, is in the wetlands. And it's not just the ducks and the geese, but, all the other birds that are so important to them. We see eagles out here all the time, and osprey, earlier in the year. And a lot of times I'll come out here just to, in the summertime even, just to watch wildlife. We had a pair of nesting tundra swans here last summer. Both greenheads. There are four ducks, 2 hens, 2 greenheads. We got the greenheads, which is the way it's supposed to go. Attaboy, Ranger. Attaboy. And a decoy. Attaboy, Ranger. See the green bill? And some flecks of green. You'd see it in the sunshine, but see the green right in here? So we ended up with 3 drakes and a hen, so we've got our limit of mallards. So that's a very good day for me. And so I think we missed 3 or 4 ducks, and that happens. And it's not a big deal. But we redeemed ourselves. We picked up a couple, and then we picked up, that last flock was like awesome. I hope you got it on film. 4 ducks came in, and we picked out 2 drakes and nailed them. So, that was like, yeah, that happens in your dreams. And it happened to us today, so.
Back at the truck, Terry cleaned our 4 mallards and sent me home with a bag of duck meat.
Tenderloin. And all the duck breasts have them. It's real small, but it's still a delicacy. And, it deserves to be cooked separate, as long as you got a hot frying pan. And just get it warm on both sides, and they are awesome. Obviously seasoned to taste. But when you make the duck tenders, cut this like maybe a 1/2 inch in pieces against the grain like this. Okay? And then cut it again like that.
Terry's ingredients are as simple as dipping the tenders in a mixture of 2 eggs and a cup of milk before coating them with Italian breadcrumbs.
And then I use a big cast iron frying pan. I put in about this much oil. I like peanut oil, but any kind of oil is probably fine. Get that hot. So hot that like when you take a little bit of tap water and drop it in there, it like splats up, So that means it's hot enough. Lay the tenders in. You got to do it kind of quickly, because they're going to start sizzling as soon as you put them in. As soon as they turn like bloody on top, and it might take 30 seconds or it might take a minute. Don't time it, but as soon as they're all bloody on top, start turning them over, and then cook them for that same amount of time on the other side. So it might be 30 seconds or it might be a minute, whatever it takes, and then take them out. And I always get a plate and then lay some paper towels on it. Put those pieces of meat on the paper towel, and then I make refrigerator door sauce. Open up your refrigerator, look in the door, and take out whatever's there. Mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard. At my place, there's always different types of hot sauce, sriracha, things like that. So anyway, you put a little bit of this and a little bit of that into a cup. Stab one of the little tenders, stick them in there, pop them in the mouth, and you'll say, I'm going to be a duck hunter, just so I can have duck tenders.
Those duck breasts are vacuum sealed in the freezer right now, and I'll try his recipe when I have some extra time to do a cooking segment. It might be after deer season. The Michigan gun deer season is just around the corner, and that means a lot of things to many people here in the UP. And one of those things is Big Buck Nights, held across various communities. Down in Menominee County, the Belgiumtown Committee is planning its 8th annual Big Buck Night. What started as a small contest with a handful of deer brought in has grown into a large-scale event.
A good friend of mine and one of our primary organizers, Scott Toney, and I, he just kind of brought it up one day out here in the parking lot. He said, what do you think we could do here? Could we get something going? And it was like this time of year already, and we had nothing organized. We thought about it for like a week, and I'm like, heck with it, let's try and give it a shot. We used to have the annual Hunter's Ball event that was here, so we set it for like that Saturday night of the Hunter's Ball, and I think we had 15 to 20 deer brought up that night. So it went well, but nobody really knew where it was going to lead to, or what was going to happen. Last year, we estimate we had probably 1,000 people, spectators and registrants, and we had like 75 deer, was it, Linz?
75, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just a real massive crowd and a great night. I don't expect any less of a crowd this year, and it's going to be on a Monday night, which would typically be kind of a lay-low kind of an evening, but this thing has just really picked up a big head of steam here and taken off.
And it's grown into being more and more a family-friendly event.
And after that first couple years, we really targeted making this into a family-type event, which I think we've been pretty successful at, wouldn't you say,
Yeah,
Lance?
absolutely.
There's still guys out there having a few cold ones and stuff like that, but it's very family friendly. Kids all over. It's really exciting actually seeing them. They get fired up about it. So
I love hearing the kids' stories.
Yeah.
As they're like bringing their deer and they're like, I shot this tonight. I'm like, that's amazing. And they have this like whole big story, and it kind of gives you the reward at the end of the night when everything is really stressful, that you're doing it for the right reason. You're getting that next generation in hunting.
Dan and Lindsay stress that it's about more than who bags the biggest buck.
It's not just about shooting a big buck, but we try to stress doe harvest, good stewardship of the herd, and then too, like just people being happy that they harvested a deer. Not I've got to shoot that 10-pointer or whatever, but to be proud of any deer they harvest, and through prizes would key on like hunter safety, marksmanship, those sort of qualities that are really important. One of the slogans of our event, if you will, is successful sportsmen sharing stories, and it's just getting people together. It's a lot of fun. Just everybody standing around out there shooting the bull, looking the deer over, the kids, as we said before, running around, and we line the deer all up out there, and you can just basically walk around and look at all the deer, and it gets the stories going, and that's the big thing, is the camaraderie and the, try to promote the sportsmanship of the event and stuff too, and I mean the big bucks are, without a doubt, they steal the show, but it's we like to think it's more than that.
And I always love when I turn around, and we're probably about an hour into the event, and there's just a crowd of people lined along the fence system that we have, just watching all these deer come in. And it's like, whoa, that's a really cool feeling to know it was successful, that so many people are coming to watch and support other hunters.
They couldn't do it without this great venue at Belgiumtown Bar and Restaurant and all the sponsors and volunteers.
The generosity of our community is amazing. I mean, different companies and people, and some of the volunteer organizers too come together and do a youth prize, a women's prize, just to get them involved. We always do the 4th day of season, so November 18th is kind of our date every year. This year we are going to start a little earlier with registering deer. We're going to start at 4. Everybody starts lining up way earlier than that. It's actually kind of crazy how early people come. And then award ceremony is typically about 8:30.
And it's free to attend, whether you bring a buck or not.
No pre-registration, no cost is the big one. We don't ask anybody to tie any money into it.
We have complimentary hot dogs, brats, hot chocolate, coffee.
All the sponsors that have come on board, it's basically just bring your deer out, bring a few companions, and just come on out for a good time.
That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.